Welcome back to a Weekly Manga Podcast book club series where we deep dive and explore the weekly shonen magazine series GACHIAKUTA by Urana. My name is Bruce. I am the proprietor of the White Gray Black YouTube channel, and I'm of course joined by my constant co-host Gautam.
What's up?
This week we are covering volume 6 of the series, which is chapters 41 through 49. Let's start with some quick thoughts and feelings on the volume. Gautam, you can tell me how you felt about it.
I loved it. I think it's the best volume yet, for sure.
I agree. Yeah, I think thinking back, I really like the first chapter, and with the transitive property, the first volume of GACHIAKUTA, like I think it's an amazing start. But to be honest, it's mostly that first chapter. I like the other chapters are good, but that first chapter is a really stunning first chapter. This I think is, I don't necessarily want to say by far because they've all been really good, but this is I think the best volume so far. It just something about it just was firing on all cylinders. It does not take a break to let you breathe. It goes and goes and goes. It introduces new stuff that's cool. It's fun characters, new character designs, and it's like so many. The art in this, I guess, because the 1 year anniversary of GACHIAKUTA happened in this volume. I think it's like 45 or 46. I think it's 46. And the spreads are like, as the spreads in this volume, like most of the volumes, there's like 1 or 2 spreads, you know, other than volume 1, which had a bunch, but like there's like 9 spread pages in this volume, and they're all awesome. Like the 2-page spreads.
This volume, it just had style. I don't know how else to say it. It just had style.
Yeah, it's weird that like we've been talking about it the whole time, but GACHIAKUTA has always had a great, amazing, you know, unique style. Like obviously with the influences of Okubo and people, but something about this one, I think maybe we hit a year and she just decided like, okay, you know, sales are good. It's something is working now. Like I don't know. Yeah. It's like she's firing on all cylinders at this point. Like that's like such a rote turn of phrase, but like this feels like, oh, it's been a year. I'm successful. People like this. I've practiced and I've set up my story, and now we're just going, and it just works.
And I suppose it didn't feel like, it felt like a breakneck pace as opposed to the rest of it. You know what's kind of funny is that this volume didn't have any like quote unquote real fights at all.
Yeah, well, there's one, which is probably my favorite fight so far, to be honest. But
that's why I said quote unquote. It's like that was like an action sequence more than it was a fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
But anyway, we'll talk about that. It's just interesting that this was our favorite when this one had, like, I'd argue the least amount of fights.
Yeah, so far. And I mean, and we've talked about it in the past that I think we talked last volume where there's only been 2 big fights in GACHIAKUTA, and through this one, there's still, we've done a whole another volume. There's still only been 2 big fights. It's only really Amo and Jabber who are kind of the big. And that's a year of publication on GACHIAKUTA with 2 fights, like on an action battle shonen, which is wild. I think it's better for it. Like I don't think it's worse because there's not fights.
And we both know that's changing next volume.
Oh yeah, I think we see. Yeah, if I had to guess, I think the 2 volumes after this are probably both like all fights or all very action heavy. So, but we'll see.
Yeah, we're gonna get into some real shonen stuff.
Absolutely. All right, cool. Let's jump in to the volume, chapter 41, A Lighting Fragment. So we are following up, of course, on the very sad and down cliffhanger, I guess, of the last volume, which left kind of Amo's flashback with these 2 masked men showing up at the end to her little tower where she's being held captive. And we recognize the one guy as the masked man who appeared in chapter 1. Who was picking up a book that had the same symbol on it that I think all of Amo's boots and Ruto's gloves have on it. So these 2 guys come in, and they essentially sort of fight the captor of Amo, and they seem like they're good guys in her flashback, which is an interesting kind of twist. He kind of shows off his boots. Yeah.
Generally they are kind of in this flashback. Yeah. Is they just do the right thing because they kill this pedophile. Well, they don't kill the pedophile. They beat the shit out of the pedophile guy.
Yeah. And give away his powerful boots. So
you know, what's interesting is that this pedo guy, the boots function completely different for him than they do for Amo. They're just like a physical type of weapon, whereas for Amo they were a psychological weapon.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, and they haven't done a whole lot of lore behind how like they do like a little bit each volume, I guess. Like how exactly do the vital instruments work? It feels like, and we'll see, I think in this chapter and the next one, that Amo is like using more of the. She's either using more of the quote unquote like real power of the boots, or she like resonates with it in a way that changes its power or makes it more her own, or it might be just that like vital instruments might just be channeling the person's power. There might not, I don't know. There might not be like an actual, there might be less magic in the item than we're ascribing to it. Like, because you're right. Like the boots are completely different for this guy and Amo when she uses them. So
let's table this thought for now because I want to come back to it. I think there's a moment we come back to this thought.
Yeah. I think you talk about it
here in
later.
A second.
So interesting. We don't know White Mask guy and then the original mask guy. White Mask guy seems like he like maybe has like a speed power. I think he's just really quick. I don't know. I do love like this is a satisfying panel and just like a great squashed and stretched sort of animation influenced punch.
Yeah,
where the guy
it's like a palm strike.
Yeah, it gives him the palm. Yeah, to like break his teeth or whatever.
Yeah,
but yeah, really interesting. That's a good one. So this is interesting for me because the White Mask guy takes the boots, then hands them to the original mask guy, who I think clearly is like the boss here. I think that's what this is implying, right? It's great. It's just such good, simple, straightforward visual storytelling, right? If the white guy takes the boots and gives them to Amo, it's the same thing. The other guy can tell her this, but like giving the boots to the guy is like, this guy is in charge. He decides what to do with them. I don't know. It's just like, it's such a simple thing that just like recontextualizes the scene, which is great.
Let's call the Necronomicon thief the angel for now, since that is what we know him as.
Yeah, well, Angel and White Mask. So yeah, they give the boots to Amo, say these are much better suited for you, and then Angel, who is the original mask guy, sprouts wings and carries the White Mask guy off, or the White Mask guy rides on his back. I don't remember which way it is, but
I have to wonder if like the light is just Amo's like perception of this. I believe he has wings though. It's probably a vital instrument of some kind.
I would say that makes sense. But it's interesting that, I mean, they're going to the sphere. And I think the timing, I think we find out next chapter maybe that like the timing of this is like he went to the sphere and then chapter 1 of GACHIAKUTA happens, right? Like this like lines up exactly with that we learned. So
yeah. And we also learned that I guess we learn here in a little bit. Let's keep going.
Yeah. There's some good writing here that I don't have necessarily on screen here, but Angel Man says pieces have fallen out of your heart and these will fill the void, which is like I don't know. I mean, there's just like there's a lot of good writing dialogue in here. Also, I think the two guys mentioned something about this tower like being the closest to the sphere, probably on its sort of like migration across the sky currently. They just go and they're probably here to like just to get closer to the sphere, make it easier to fly up, and they're like, oh, there's a girl with a bad man, and so they help her out.
Presumably it's like a limitation on the vital instrument or something.
Yeah, potentially. And in the very end of this chapter, like Amo is like, again, there's just like some good writing here. It's like normally Amo doesn't feel anything. It's like she feels like her heart is squirming. Is it because of the shoes? The shoes are suited. They're better suited to Amo. That means they belong to Amo. She won't let anyone else have them. And she's getting a little more crazier. But like the art, again, like this is the last panel, I think, of the chapter, and the art here is crazy wild. Good. So cool. Stylized, just little frog eyes. So
I think it's ultimately it's not like the boots are influencing her. It's I think the guy's words about her having a hole in her heart, right? That needed to be filled. She probably resonated with that.
Well, I think it's that, and I think there's potential for there to be an actual like physical response, like giving someone a vital instrument that they like resonate with. Like I think she legitimately. Yeah, I mean, the way she talks about it in this chapter, and I think in the next chapter when we get to it, seems like she just like wasn't feeling like she just couldn't feel anything, right? Like she was numb from all the abuse and stuff, and then she gets the boots and is like, I can feel things now, and it like feels both good and bad when she like had the boots, right? Like because she sort of like realized this is at the end of this chapter, so we'll get to it.
I think my read on this for now is that it's like more or less a placebo where she like there is already kind of a part missing for her that she knows about, and being told it's like, oh, the boots will fill this hole. It feels like an answer more than anything, right?
Yeah, I think
like
that's possible.
Yeah.
Someone
But
just
we'll
coming
see.
in and telling her this fills the void. She thinks, yes, it does. Now I feel different. Yeah, for sure.
That's my read on it, but we'll see if it's actually the reverse.
Yeah, we'll see. Chapter 42 here. Rudo goes to apologize to Amo in the start. He's like, hey, let me talk to her. And they're like, she's telling us like exactly what you want to know. It's like, she's telling us about the guys with the angel wings who flew up, to go to the sphere. And he's like, what? Which is wild. And then, we sort of go back into her flashback. And here the bad man is trying to take the boots back from her. I think this is this is still tough to read, even though we are sort of
it's like
recovering and empowering
uncomfortable.
Amo, but it's like, it's uncomfortable. But I like the way it goes. But yeah, she talks about here, like we were talking about, it's like she found a piece that got lost. It's like she put batteries in an old toy and it finally started working again. That's what it feels like. That's kind of why I think it might actually be an actual power of the boots of some kind. Cause I also think that Rudo's gloves, right? Like, I don't think it's a placebo effect that he puts the gloves on and it makes his hands feel better. I think they like legitimately make him not feel the pain of his hands when he's wearing them. Like that seems more like a magical power to me, but I don't know.
I still think it's a reverse, and I think she talks to Rudo later, and I'll explain why I think that way.
Okay, cool. This is again very uncomfortable. They sort of fight and struggle over it. She's like, can I have this? This is like the only thing I want. I've never asked you for anything. Can't I? He says, no, you can't just take things. He's a very, very poor argument.
He's just a prick.
Yeah,
right?
he's an absolute bastard. Amo even points out, is like, you take stuff from other people all the time. Like, why can't I just take this from you? And he's like, you can't have it. They sort of struggle over the boots. She headbutts him, I believe is what happens. And he like trips out the hole and falls to his death. And I like that this is not, this to me, it's strange that it's a sort of minor death in the grand scheme of things. But to me, this introduces, new stakes because we haven't really seen people get super hurt in the past. I guess this reinforces what we got in chapter 1, right? Which is like, yeah, people can die because Rudo's adoptive dad, what's his name? Did actually die in that chapter 1. I just think I think it's good here, like almost 50 chapters in again to be like, yeah, there's real danger. People actually die if they fall 400 feet because there are some battle shonen where getting knocked out of a tower and falling 400 feet does not mean death, like by any stretch. And here, I like that it's reinforced that, like, yeah, it does mean death if you fall 100 feet to your death. So,
and you don't really see anything but a splatter because it's like an insignificant death for an insignificant person. It's just but
it's also
it's cool.
Really effective paneling and visual storytelling. I mean, no dialogue on this page. Like the fear on his face.
Ink blotch as a splat.
Yep. I mean, I think it's absolutely great storytelling. Yeah. This is the part that I was talking about earlier, where Amo sort of talking about the boots. Like, why it turned out this way? What was Amo doing with him? What has her life been all these years? What is Amo doing here? Why did Mommy bring Amo to that man? And she like thinks about like the truth, right? That she's been kind of blocking out for however long she's been here. It's like, because she's soldier. She's like, no, that's not what happened. Amo knows the truth. And she kind of like rewrites her. I think she again tries to kind of,
she's deluding herself for her
suppress
own, like, sanity.
Yeah. To be like, if I accept all the bad things right now, I'm just going to go crazy or be bad or whatever. So,
yeah.
So Amo, stuck around the desert, saw more people. And then the angel, I wrote in here that the angel came back and Amo awakened to her powers.
Yeah, that's later.
Oh,
it's when she's telling Rudo. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, I think that's in this chapter, but maybe I just didn't have it. But or no, maybe it's cool. Next chapter 43. It's just like the first thing here. Yeah, the angel came back to the ground, but the other angel wasn't with him. She's 43 here. She's talking about the angel and their return. She says it was about a month ago. Yeah, this is the same time was when Rudo fell. Rudo has a really great face here in this panel that I really like.
Yeah, the revenge Rudo face, the crazy person panel.
And I like he's like, this is just perfect. Like this is his happy face. Like, this is satisfying. I'm going to figure out things. Because this is where it all connects together, like we said. So,
and this is a good panel because it like contrasts to like it's a stark contrast to how Rudo feels after talking to Amo, but because he's like full of rage and excitement because he's gonna get his revenge that he's looking for, or he's a step closer, and then Amo and him talk. He made his way over there to apologize in the first place. Yeah. Feeling sheepish after beating the shit out of her.
Yeah, I also think this the framing of this I think is really good because up until we know about this angel guy and it's sort of and we know about him in chapter 1, but we don't know how he's related and we still kind of don't know everything about him. But Rudo's sort of goal, like driving force up to then, is like get back to Sphere and then figure stuff out from there. I think tying that into a character he can chase, I think is just a great decision, like in storytelling. Like instead of just I have a place I need to get to, or I just have a thing I need to do. It's like those are good, but like I have a person I need to find or a person I need to follow. I think that I don't know. For me, that resonates more of like I'm a dude that needs to get at another dude, and it's personal, or I don't know. So. I like that a lot. Cool. So this is the interesting thing here. I think this is probably the part you're talking about, right? Where
this is the part I'm talking about.
Yeah. It's like these things that you and Amo have, they must work best with people who are missing pieces. I think that's the really key part of this whole page, where both of their sort of vital instruments work either differently or better or more effectively for them, because Rudo sort of has the abandonment things and the scars on his hands, and Amo has similar abandonment issues, I guess, and all the things that happened to her.
Exactly. I think so. Two reasons. I think it's not actually the boots or the gloves that make them feel whole or take away the pain. It's just like a placebo to make them feel that way is how I think about it. Because one, Amo deluding herself, right, into believing that everything that happened to her was just, oh, that's my first love. That like pedophile man. Yeah. And two is like, my mom didn't sell me, is like, it's just deluding yourself for your own sanity. They're both discarded people, which I think makes the magic items they have work better or attune easier. Because it's also like discarded items, right? I think that's the feeling I get after reading this.
I think that's I feel like I could fight for either side. I'm guessing that it's probably a little bit of both. I think that the line on the next panel where it says, when there's a big hole, you can't fill it up unless you put a lot of something in it. These objects have enough of that something to fill the holes inside you and Amo. To me, and for what we know about vital instruments, I'm just going to argue the other side for argument's sake. For what we know about vital instruments, we know that it, like, you sort of pour your love and attention into an item and that item becomes powerful from it. I think that there's maybe an idea here of that magical sort of love you pour into the item is also capable of like loving you back, quote unquote, in a way. And so I think that it's possible that because the boots and Rudo's gloves have the same rune on them or whatever, it's possible that those are from a guy who loved, whatever this series of things are a lot. And so they're very powerful. So,
I changed my mind. I think that's a solid argument because you're right. If you think about that amulet that Rudo had that dissolved or disintegrated after it was like satisfied, quote unquote.
Yeah, exactly.
Like these items do have souls. So it's like, I think you're on the money there.
Yeah, I definitely think that it's probably a little bit of both, right? It's a little bit of like, having a thing that is yours, or that you love, and I think it is. They haven't directly said it in the series, but I do think we're going to get more of there are souls inside items, and that they have feelings and wants and needs too. I think that's. I don't think we've seen it yet. Maybe that's like an end game type thing, but I think we get there.
I think you're right. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, so I do think that. Something about the items sort of pouring love back into people with large holes. I think these like powerful items have more love in them, something like that. So, yeah, not a fully fleshed out theory, but it's getting there. They're giving us a little bit of it at a time, which I like. So
I think it's like all, but it feels like that's the way it goes.
Yeah, but I think they've set it up for that for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Again, Amo still can't
This was
catch a
such a
break.
fucking
She's so
sad
sad.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like because she finally reconciles like what happened to her, like the truth of what happened to her. It's a fucked situation. Already. Poor Amo.
Well, and it's even worse. And this is a thing that I've seen in, like I guess mostly in things like crime and like murder, like what's it called, like actual crime stuff, where it's like someone is abused and then they go back to their abuser. Because the sadder part for me is not her talking about what the man did to her. It's the after part where she says that it's very sad to be all alone. Like she knows that the man was doing bad stuff to her, but she also knows that she kind of wishes he was back because she doesn't want to be alone. And that's like, that's like very sad and very real. Like, cause that's, like I said, that's definitely a thing that you see with abused people is that they know that they don't want to be abused, but they're also like attached to their abusers and somehow,
right?
Yeah.
It's how they feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. It's such a sad start to this.
I know but
stay with us. It gets fun. I promise.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the best volume ever, Gouchum.
Yeah. It has style.
Well, and this is and I think it's the next thing I probably got here. This is the happy sort of ending to it all, right? Is Ruto going in and saying like, hey, I know that you're alone and that I'm alone. We both have these sort of abandonment type issues. And he's like, let's learn to reach out our hands and connect to others together. I think this is really meaningful.
Right before this, it's funny how all of Rudo's craziness and vengeful energy and rage all went away after Amo talks, because like right before this, she says, we're all the same. All we know how to do is raise our hands and hit each other. And that like completely brought Rudo back to reality. Yeah. In a sense, it was great.
Well, and it ties in really good with Rudo beating the shit out of her at the end of the last thing. It's like he was a participant in that sort of negative world that they're talking about. So
and so was she, right? Yeah. Like it's just everyone's like that, and
And so I think good. I think this is really. I think this is really powerful here. I also like as a personal belief kind of thing. This resonates with me because a lot of people think like, oh, humans are natural, like they were evil. They're naturally evil things. And it's like, no, I think humans are naturally selfish. We want things for ourselves. And I think that the core of being a good person is being able to accept that, you can give things to other people and not take them for yourself, or you can sacrifice some of what you have or have taken to give to other people. Like, I think that's sort of the essence of good, right? Like, giving up some of your selfishness to help someone out that doesn't, benefit you at all, right?
Exactly.
Putting your shopping cart back doesn't benefit you at all, but it makes the world a better place. I'm very shopping cart pilled in always return to shopping cart.
I'm absolutely shopping cart pilled.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So, this is great. We end on a high note. Nothing bad is ever going to happen to Amo again. She's saved. Just kidding. Jabber shows up and steals her shoes. It's so funny.
And possibly kills her. We don't know. I don't think so. But it's like the author wants us to think that
we don't know her fate. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know her fate.
Jabber, you fucking asshole.
Yeah,
this poor girl.
This breaks me because you do want to end like you have like 4 chapters in a row of this like incredibly brutally sad Amo backstory, and then you're like, oh good, like let's hold hands and make peace together, Rudo and Amo, and you're like, yes, awesome, end it here, this is great, and then it's just Jabber shows up and takes her shoes, like she doesn't get a happy ending. It's infuriating.
Not only does she have the worst life, the only thing that makes her feel human in any way is stolen from her. What the fuck? Yeah, it's so messed up, dude.
But all of that being said, I feel so strongly about this because I think the parts before this were so good at connecting us with Amo. And so, like, if I was not so connected to Amo, this would not feel as like frustrating and bad.
This is good writing. Yeah, because it makes you hate the fucking villains.
Yeah, Jabber is. Yeah, he's. I hate him.
Yeah, fuck Jabber, dude. All my homies hate Jabber.
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, I wrote this girl cannot catch a break.
I know. I said poor Amo only suffers. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hoping that I think she made a friend, which is a slight positive. And then got beat up and maybe killed and took her shoes.
I do not believe she's killed. Like
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah. We'll see.
Because I think we were right when we predicted last time that maybe she doesn't necessarily join the cleaners, but I think she's an ally now, like for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Chapter 44. Here we're into sort of, again, this
We're
volume.
into goofball territory.
Yeah, a little bit of a goofy break here, but this volume just like moves. So they're driving back. Engine, again, a great little shitbag character. It's like whenever in Rails drives, I fall asleep. It's like especially dangerous when Gris is driving. Like I like how he's like they're all kind of falling asleep. I like Rudo in the background here too. It's funny.
He's just yeah, because Rio's falling asleep.
Rio's falling asleep on him, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
They return back to a familiar town. I again, like every volume, like I mentioned, there's just a couple of panels where it's like, oh yeah, let's get the graffiti artist back in here to draw some stuff. And it looks awesome. And we are back with the Doctor. This is from chapter 4? I think she showed up in last time.
Yeah, exactly. She fixed up Rudo.
Yeah, I mean, this is literally a callback to a year earlier in publication. So, for us, it's been 6 or 7 weeks since we saw her, but for most people, it had been a long, long time. So I think this is great. She's funny. They sort of expand on her character a little bit more. Her name is Alice Dilza, and they give a little history. Like I like the visual storytelling in this is so good. Like all it takes is one little picture to be like, oh yeah, that is the Doctor, and she's surrounded by these other people. And this person, I think, shows up at the end of this volume on the left here. Maybe.
Oh. You're thinking that's the Portal Girl?
I think that's it looks like her, doesn't it?
I think she's too young, right? Like she's too young.
Yeah, maybe it's her daughter or something. Or maybe
maybe.
I think it's gonna tie together. Like maybe the guys on the side too. I don't know. But they seem it's hard to tell because Kei Urana is so good at character designing that it's not the blue spiky hair in the back corner school shit where it's like, I know who the main character is by glancing at the screen. It's like everyone is so well designed. I can't tell. Like maybe she just designed a great character in the background here and they have no relevance to the story. I can't tell because all of her character designs fucking rock.
I have no idea either, but I don't know. I think we'll see them around probably.
Yeah. So Alice Stilza, we also learned that she has 2 adoptive kids. It is August Stilza is the guy who makes the masks and the gas masks.
The armorer and the healer from our crew.
Yeah, and the healer girl from both from the cleaners. So a nice again. I think the tie back to characters we've already met sort of it makes the world feel smaller, but in a good way, if that makes sense. It makes things feel more connected, and there isn't like a sprawl of characters where she goes, oh, I need the Doctor to have 2 kids. I'll introduce 2 new characters. It's like, nope, use characters you've already got before. It feels like you know them already. I don't know. This is just great. I love this for character stuff.
And it makes the characters not feel like shallow. I guess it's like not. It's the second time we've seen the armor, the third time we've seen the healer, right?
Yeah, exactly. They're like returning characters now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And August is awesome. He has a really cool motorcycle.
I love there's this panel where the grandma and August are just acting insane, and the healer girl, I'm forgetting her name, but she's just like sighing. She's just like, God, they're so embarrassing.
They're very sort of different people.
Yeah,
but the armorer guy, as he leaves on his cool motorcycle on his hog, he says, the cloud's coming to this area, like stay clear of the downpour. And Rudo kind of doesn't quite know what that means. And then he's like, the cloud? And then we see...
This is a cool world building.
Yeah, this is great. Again, like I think this is like, as much as this is kind of like a fun in-between chapter, like we're talking about it now and I'm like, this is like so much world building and cool stuff happens. Like the crazy Doctor connected back to the cleaners, the idea of when the sphere passes over, it's called like the cloud, and then because you can't see the sphere, obviously, because there's that weird barrier that we're trying to figure out how to get through. And it just drops trash because they are dropping trash all the time. It's awesome. Yeah, there's just like, again, there's so much packed in this volume. Like even in the start with the sad Amo stuff, I think that gives us a lot of stuff. Like we're talking about vital instruments, about the mask guys, about like, and like Jabber shows back up. Fuck that guy. But yeah, it's all great. So.
Yeah, I like this one too.
Yeah.
And they get a call stating that there's like a pest problem, which essentially means that their stronghold is being assaulted by like raiders.
Yeah. Yes.
And here's where we get our action scene.
Yeah, coming to the next chapter. This is I think the last panel of chapter 44. God, I love this little bottom kind of spread panel is so. I don't know. It's just one of those things of like, what camera angle do you choose if you want to show like a bunch of guys assaulting a building? And it's like most people would pick, like a shoulder height, maybe like you look above so you can kind of see more of the guys. I like going low here is really cool. I don't like, it's just such a simple, like stylistic choice of like, put the camera on the ground, like looking up through the legs of the guy. Like this is cool. This is when people talk about like good, like staging, paneling, choreography, it's stuff like this. It's like putting the camera of this panel on the floor, looking through the guy's legs, like showing up close of his boots, which again, cool design, like these nice.
I know
spiked
the red
boots.
shirts look badass. I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's like everyone looks cool. Everyone looks like good enough here to like have their own one-on-one fight.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know, it's just I think it's fucking great. I love GACHIAKUTA. So next chapter 45. We see the cool. She like this. I love this. Like engine driving up to like the back entrance, and he just like taps on this weird smiley face thing that spins around to like an angry like Rudo looking face, and then lets them in the back way. This is like Batman shit to me, and I love Batman. Like he has little hidden bat caves everywhere. You can get to them with these weird little buttons, and it's like, I don't know, I eat this shit up.
I also love just the aesthetic of this being like a secret cave and like I don't know, kind of like a sneaky high tech thing, but it's still kind of shitty technology. It's like scuffed high tech.
Yeah,
I don't know the word. Yeah,
the button is like a metal like spinny plate thing. You spin it. So yeah. So this chapter is our sort of action thing that we're talking about. So these guys are cool. They like shoot a rocket launcher at the building. It explodes. And this is another panel where I think does this bottom art panel here, does this remind you of any style that we might be familiar with?
Yeah, but I'm not putting it together.
This looks like Trigger to me. This looks like a Trigger animation thing.
I guess it kind of does, doesn't it?
Like this looks like something out of
the shadows,
out of like Promare or something like that, right? Like the like heavy shadows, kind of like exaggerated faces. Yeah, like
exactly.
Yeah, that's what this reminded me of. So I think that's cool.
My blood runneth cold.
Yeah, they the smoke clears from the rocket that they fire, and Samu's talking to them, and she's basically like, doesn't matter. It's like, we have a vital instrument for a like shut-in who protects the whole building, and it's not letting you in.
The comforter.
It's funny that again, it's just like, we haven't even seen this character, and I'm already like, that's a unique character design. That's like new to this world because it's very simple. Instead of being, heavily tattooed and jacketed or whatever, it's like, oh, it's just a person under a big blanket, and that like the mystery there is great. So.
We're kind of under attack again, and I love how they say my blood runneth cold. It's so dumb.
Yeah, I think this character is going to be fun when you do finally meet them, because I think they're going to be they're like an otaku, I assume. Yeah, right. Like the shut in neat otaku of the trash world.
I wonder if it is the comforter that's their vital instrument, or the whole base that is their vital instrument.
I do wonder. Yeah, I bet it's because like I could see. If you're a shut-in neat, like your home is like the thing you love and you don't want to leave, but also the blanket. I could be either. Yeah, I could see either.
I think it makes sense for it to be like the whole base, because
the whole building,
like just because you're right. Like it's their home. That's their treasure. So
wherever they're shut in is invincible to outside forces, which is what every shut-in wants, to be honest.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah, makes sense. And then we start to get our. I wrote here, Samu has maybe the best single fight chapter of the whole series so far. What do you think?
What a babe as well.
Yes.
Yeah, she has a freaking awesome fight scene. It's a Matrix fight scene.
Yeah, her glasses show her like, I don't know if they necessarily increase her speed, but they should like slow things down that she's watching, or show her the
That's
future.
What I got out of it.
Something like
it's
that.
Like
yeah,
ultra perception.
Yeah, basically, like literally seeing into the Matrix of like the world.
Yeah,
and it's like it's like so well paneled here. Like I'm more excited for the fights coming up in the next ones, because again, we haven't seen very many, and I think that this one was awesome. Like they fire a rocket at her, and you see the like ghosting of her dodging the rocket, grabbing it, swinging it around, and just chucking it back at them. Like this,
like a bowler too. She has a bowler stance.
Yeah, she like gets real low to it. Yeah, it's like such an awesome page. Yeah, they shoot at her with bullets here. She looks at them, and also like, yeah, you're right. She's like, again, character design out of this world. Samu's awesome. This is gonna be like, yeah, when this anime hits in a couple months here, yeah, this one, yeah, Samu engine. There's gonna be a lot of fan art of these characters.
Yeah, she's so cool.
And she just like, this is awesome too. Like,
Hands behind her back.
She puts her hands behind her back and dodges the bullets. Like she's showing off, and she does the like
I love it.
looking down at you thing. It's so great. Her hand's still behind her back,
and she power poses on that dude. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, she's like, this is clearly like no issue for her, which I think is awesome. Because when we're first introduced to her, we're like, oh yeah, she's the receptionist. You know, whatever. You know, she has a like non-combat power, and then she just like shows up here and is like, by the way, she might be the strongest combatant we've seen so far outside of like maybe Engine. Like she probably could maybe kick Engine's ass too. Like I think that's so cool.
Yeah, seriously, she has superhuman perception and can like just dodge bullets and rockets. Yeah, she's probably the second strongest behind Engine so far.
Yeah, or maybe even stronger. You don't really know.
Who knows?
Seen all of Engine,
Who knows?
But yeah. I love Engine has a line in this chapter where he says that she did it again, which shows that like she's done this before a lot. Like yeah. So and then at the end of this chapter we get a new guy introduced, who I think this is the guy we saw, I think in volume 2, who's wearing the coat that has the seal, the rune on it that matches Rudo's stuff. I think that's this guy. Because he's wearing the jacket again, right?
The one we speculated at the moment, we thought was like Rudo's dad, maybe.
Could be Rudo's dad, yeah.
It doesn't look like it. It's not, but it's like that. It's the same guy for sure.
It is, and he's employing Jabber or whatever. So yeah, I think it's cool. We don't talk about it a lot because we're doing sort of whole volumes, but a lot of the endings of GACHIAKUTA chapters are really good cliffhangers. Like this is a great like the last thing you show in this chapter, which had an awesome fight, is like, here's a bad guy. Like there he is. Come back next chapter, see what he's doing.
It's great.
Yeah, which I think is great. Cool. So here is our sort of 1 year big color spread, which again, the design,
amazing spread.
It's so awesome. Yeah, I say it so many times. The design in GACHIAKUTA is unrivaled. This might be the best designed manga like I've ever read. It's so sick.
Yeah, this is great.
It's so good. This chapter I also really liked.
Dude, this gave me like Kaguya Ramen Emperor flashbacks with this dude.
Yeah, we start.
He was funny. This random guy.
It's so funny that he's like, oh yes, I get to relax. The feeling in this bar is great. It's like if it weren't for those damn cleaners, and you see them I love the way they're drawn in the background. It's just like
they look like they're such menaces. Yeah.
And there's like proper guys all
and he's like, into it. Yeah, there's a mean looking guy. The proper looking guy looks mean. The cute girl looks mean. And then it's like Rudo approaches from the bathroom and he looks like a serial killer.
Yeah.
He's like, what's wrong with this kid? His eyes are bloodshot.
It's so fun. It's such a fun, great. Like, God, it's one of those extra things you don't have to do when you're telling a story that when you do them are like so worth it. I don't know. It's just so good. It's such a night and it's the 1 year anniversary and they had this like goofy little dapper man for like the first 6 or 7 pages.
Yeah. The bar with a bunch of hooligans.
Yeah. We get a little bit more on sort of the type of vital instruments here. It talks about, if someone wants to get use out of their object, they'll be an attacker. If someone wants to preserve their object, they're kind of a defender. Ruda says, well, I didn't realize the way we view our treasures can change things that much. This might come into play where he like, says, I want to preserve some item he uses. He's been kind of an attacker in general. Most of the things he's empowered, but I could see him using the other side of it. We also get what I think is a really funny, sort of foreshadowing head nod if you've read on, because Rudo says, now I want to see more different kinds of givers. And Rio says, oh, you're even more interested now. Well, you won't have to wait long. There's some pretty unique givers on their way here now. Which you're thinking, oh yeah, more cleaners are coming. But if you've read ahead, like, nope. Well, it is more cleaners, but it's also sort of
like the weirdest people in the universe. They're called Team Child.
Team Child, yes.
And there's like an adult on Team Child and 2 presumably children, I think.
Yeah, middle schooler age, maybe something like that. I don't know.
I don't know if they're kids or if they're just adults that dress like kids.
Yeah, I think they are kids because Rudo's like a kid too, right? Rudo's like 14-ish, I would guess 14 to 16-ish in like, standard shonen protagonist age. So I think that these are
maybe
kids.
they're bizarre. They're very strange people.
They are. I love how it's like, and again, this is that cool thing where it's like we met one of these characters earlier. It's a through line into introducing more characters. It ties the world together. It makes it feel sort of closer and more intimate because immediately the baby guy shows up and him and Rudo are like staring each other down, which I think is hilarious.
I bet the baby guy wants to be friends and just doesn't know how to express himself, and Rudo's
or just like can't talk at all or something.
Because he has a pacifier. Gita Heavy Fantasia.
This is a bad name. I'm down with most of the names, and there's one of the best names in the whole series coming up, but Gita Heavy Fantasia is one of the worst fantasy names I have ever heard in my life. It's so bad it almost wraps back around to being good, I think.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's so bad that in my eyes it wraps around to being good, given this character's design. It's basically, for people not seeing it, what's on screen, it's just like a Reptar costume. It's like someone's in like a little dinosaur costume.
Yeah.
Like a fursuit, kind of.
Which I think is her, I think we're going to see that's her vital instrument. And I bet that she like turns her into a real monster. That's going to be my guess for what her vital instrument is.
Is it a girl? I don't know.
I think it is, right?
It's
hard to tell.
It's
right. It could be either.
The name impossible to say.
The name sounds feminine,
the name doesn't mean anything. It's just
I guess
words.
it's true, yeah.
But the other names are even more bizarre somehow.
Dear Santa and Bro Santa.
Why? What? And they don't explain it. Why is one of them Dear Santa and the other one's Bro Santa? And then the third one is Gita Heavy Fantasia. There's it's so weird.
This might be a knock-on of the Japanese translation, right? So Dear Santa might be like Santa-san or like what's like Santa Dono or something, right? Like it might just be like it's Santa with like an ending that means like a more intimate, like you're a more intimate person, like Dear Santa. And then his name is probably like Ainaki Santa, right? Like a Bro Santa.
That's
Santa Ani, something like that. So
it doesn't explain anything even then.
I think it's a strange translation, but it fits because it's a strange world. So
I think it's meant to be just very odd. You're meant to look at this and be like, huh?
I mean, it could also just be written in Japanese in the way that's like, no, their name is like Dear Santa and Bro Santa. So I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, it's very funny though.
Let me see, where were we? Team Child's introduced. Rudo runs away from Team Child, sits down, talks to someone. This was a cool moment. That Rudo just kind of has like a casual conversation with the bad guy while he thinks it's just another like cleaner that showed up or somebody else. And then and he's like, oh yeah, you should, pay attention to what's going on around you. I don't remember exactly what the bad guy says, but he's like, oh yeah, well, you should pay attention. And Rudo looks up and he's got the boots and he goes fucking crazy. And then, this is why I like this volume, is that it's like, you thought we got a little like there's one little interlude where nothing's happening. And then immediately in this chapter, it's like, this chapter started with the funny Dapper Man. And now it's like, the big bad is here. He's in the room and he's like, we're going, like, it's time. Like it's happening right now.
Yeah. And he's very forward about being the Raiders boss. Like right there in public. It's bold. I believe he pulls the boots out just to bait everyone. Just to bait Rudo. Into throwing a punch. Yeah.
Yeah, to get him to sort of like, I think it's smart emotional manipulation. I think it shows that we're not like, I like this bad guy already. Like, I think he's already feels smart and cool and like he knows what he's doing. He knows how to manipulate Rudos without really knowing Rudo very well, which I think is cool. Again,
and I think he might know Rudo better than we think.
I think so too. I don't know how, but I do kind of get that feeling. It might be something with a connection between their vital instruments since they have the same rune. It kind of felt like there was maybe a connection between Amo and Rudo also in the same way. So I don't know.
I'm starting to feel like the angel is not with these guys.
Let's save that for the end, because I do think that there's like 3 different sort of people at play now, and it's hard to tell who's good and who's bad or who's on whose side. So yeah, I do think that that's an interesting conversation, but let's save it for the end, I think so.
Yeah.
Cool. Chapter 47, just called Boss. I have an interesting like local weather report going on. The big downpour, they call it. And I like, again, good bad guy. He's just like, it's important to never miss a weather report, especially when falling trash will like kill you. these are maybe my favorite 2 panels, like 2 pages in a row in all of GACHIAKUTA so far. He just does like, that way you can be prepared when the unprecedented storm hits. And he just like is grabbing Rudo by the neck. Like, it's just
what
so
a threat.
cool.
What a good threat.
It's so cool, man. This introduction of this guy is like very like I'm in love.
He's had like 2 sentences so far, and he's already like eerie. You know, he's like a scary dude.
Yeah, he's just like, it's me. Here's a tip. I'm the Raiders' new boss. Be prepared when the unprecedented hits. He's grabbing him. Where are we? I wrote, holy shit, this is moving fast as fuck. They go for sort of a counterattack here, which this is where we're starting to get some of the spreads I was mentioning.
And like the moment Rudo threw the punch, everyone was like ready.
Everyone was backing him up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
very cool panel, by the way.
It's a cool panel. Yeah. It also shows, I don't think I have the panel, but, I guess we'll keep going. They also, like, man, the paneling here is so good, right? Like, and this page especially, right? Engine is like reaching through the page on top of the panels to get to Rudo.
Yeah,
Everyone is sort of reaching out at the same way, and the grab at the end, it's great.
And Rudo gets sucked through a portal.
They all get sucked through a portal. I think it's interesting that they have the supporters there with them, and I don't remember if there was something that was said or not, but like the difference between the cleaners and the supporters is like the cleaner, like every single person who's a cleaner here, like jumped and went after Rudo. Like when Rudo attacked, they all attacked with him, and the cleaners get left behind because they didn't do that, right? The cleaners are not sort of the forward soldiers.
Or the supporters, you mean?
Yeah.
I think they're just too slow, right, on the reaction.
Yeah, they
not
aren't.
That they didn't care.
And they also sort of aren't the ones that like, it's time to fight. They don't really jump in front. They're supporters there in the back. So.
Right. Nobody expected to get sucked through a portal. So it makes sense.
So Engine, all the cleaners, they latch on, they get pulled in. They're sort of teleported in here.
I like this page here because Rudo's clearly pissed because he saw the boots and he's like, what did he do to Amo? Right. And Engine is like about to say Rudo, what do you mean or whatever.
Yeah.
He instantly realizes what he's talking about and gets serious.
Yeah. This is
cool character moment.
This is one of those things that when the anime hits, people are going to be like this serious face Engine, which we don't get very often. Have we even like maybe seen it once in the past? I don't even know.
I don't think he's been fully serious until maybe
right
now.
Yeah. I don't think so either. I think he's been sort of kind of serious, but he's very lackadaisical. This serious face is going to this is going to make panties drop is what I'll say. I think again, I've talked about how I think Engine is going to be the new Gojo for people. And I think this page solidifies it. I
don't know if he'll be the Gojo for people. He's too much of a shithead.
I don't know.
I think he'll be he's like a Spike Spiegel-esque character where he'll be very popular with dudes. Yeah. You know, he's like
I think so.
A cool shithead.
We'll see. I think the boss guy says we caught the cleaners, and I wrote that like maybe they did want everybody to come in. And then we get sort of the darkened, again, another cool spread page, good guys versus bad guys. I wrote like all caps, like first team battle. Cause I think we're here. The escalation here. I like what do you do to Amo? Engine's serious face is cool. They show, I think in this one, this is, I think the last page, we get kind of a head-to-head thing. Again, another spread, another awesome panel. And I think here we're seeing, I think this is confirmed maybe by the next 2 chapters. We're seeing people paired up into who they're going to fight already here. So,
and it's interesting. There are 5 raiders and 7 cleaners.
I think there's 7 cleaners. Yeah, because we see in next chapter or 2 chapters, the big guy and the pacifier from Team Child, I think, are paired up. And then, or maybe it's something like that. I don't know. We'll see it. But this is I don't know if I've seen a better versus head-to-head matchup panel in manga. There's not a whole lot. You get a lot of here's the good guy team in a spread that's awesome. One Piece does that. Dan does that great. This is cooler than that, in my opinion. The eyes on both sides, like Rudo and the boss, looking at each other.
This is very Records of Ragnarok feeling.
Okay, yeah.
This is like every volume cover, but this one's badass too. I love it.
Yeah,
and it tells you who's matching up against who, right here.
It does, yeah. And you don't it's clearly Rudo and the boss are gonna have their thing. I guess Rio and the the pajama wearing girl, are going to be against the girl here who we see in 2 chapters. And then, Jabber versus Zonka rematch.
Zonka gets his salty run back, finally.
Yeah, and then it's Engine versus the short kid. I think this is the Portal. Is this Portal person or is this a different person?
This is a different person.
It's a different person, yeah. And then the
Portal
cowboy
person's
guy,
hot,
who's my favorite design in the whole series so far.
He's going to be the strongest one. I'm calling it. He's going to be the strongest one of the group, yeah.
Yeah,
he's just too badass looking.
Yeah, I think we don't see him for another like 2 chapters, but that's like probably one of my favorite designs. I don't know, being from Texas.
I love him.
It's a cowboy hat. You gotta love it.
Also, I kind of like these like older characters in the shonen manga. So I don't know. He's a dapper cowboy guy. Yeah, I do. Something I've really appreciated so far, and especially with this, is like the bad guy is revealed and it's not a kid. It isn't like a kid rival, like some shitty kid with some stupid thing. It's like, this is an adult who like has ideals and knows things and is smart. And like, I think that I guess we're about to learn his name here in chapter 48. So stuff happens here. There's a little bit of talking and chatting. I liked this where he's like, you got some extra swag is what Engine says. And like the little dinosaur girl, it's like swag, we're swag. It's like everyone loves free swag. It's like, oh, people like it. That's good then. With like an empty face, like empty eyes, right? Like, she has no idea what's going on right now. Yeah, and Zonka is playing the straight man again, which I think he's great at. It's like, can any of you read the room? But this chapter, I wrote like, holy shit, we are unleashing everything. This again is why I love this volume. Is like, okay, are we going to sit here and talk for a chapter? It's like, no. It's like, you were concerned that the cleaners were altogether too laid back, weren't you, Rudo? But you were wrong. People who live on the ground are constantly on their guard. That's why they never leave you alone. That's why we're all here right now. We were expecting to pick up some extra baggage. So he was like, we planned for this. And this is cool because I didn't realize this, I think, while I was reading, he's got a watch that tells him when the trash flood is coming. And he's like timing it out. He's like he's literally wasting their time until this happens, which is like, again, a power move. Awesome. It's just a callback to his weather report. He's prepared for the unexpected storm. I didn't even realize that. Great call out. It absolutely is. He's like, always pay attention to the weather because trash, falling trash is dangerous. And yep, this is exactly that. Very cool. Yeah, I mean, there's another one of the callback things that I mentioned was they mentioned like, oh yeah, more like you're going to see more cleaners. There are more people with powers. They're on their way. And I think it's funny that the true payoff of that is not the 3 Team Child showing up. It's like all the bad guys and Team Child. Like there's a lot of new people here, which I think is cool. Definitely. So the cleaners get washed away by this flood of trash. This is maybe one of my favorite things ever. I love this. Engine writing on his umbrella here. I love how it's very goofy, but Engine is still like trying to be serious about it, like because he's in serious mode right now. Yeah, he's just like seriously riding this umbrella through the flash flood. Yeah, and Zonka's like absolutely flipping out. So they get split up in different tunnels. Zonka, I think Zonka's usually like a straight man, like he's very serious about his vital instrument and fighting and stuff. But it's funny when he goes goofy. This is a very Okubo face, like one of the most Okubo great faces, I think. I am legitimately gonna murderize those raiders. It's great. We also get, of course, the return again of Jabber. We're gonna have some fun with the extra swag. It's like, so you play nice with the boss while we're gone. Again, this is the setup, right? He splits up the cleaners. He sends his own goons to fight them through the portal guy. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, I knew that this is what was coming, right? You can see that you're going to have a bunch of one-on-one fights. And instead of, some things you just be like, oh, they're all fighting in the room separately. And the question that people, maybe legitimately, maybe not, the question they ask is like, why don't they just gang up and get, they're all in the same room. Why don't they help each other out? Instead, I like that it's like, she's thought about this. He's like, or Urana has thought about this. The bad guys have thought about this, so they're splitting them up. This is like planned. It was great. It's a plan. It works. It's like the use of Kurogiri. The portal users are always bad guys, so they can split up the good guys. I love it. Yeah, which I mean I think is a cool choice. Also, God, Jabber is like he's scary. He's nuts. He's nuts. Scary and crazy. He's a psychopath. Yeah. We also get what I mentioned earlier, a great reveal of a name. This bad guy who we've been talking about, the boss of the Raiders, he says his name is Zodal Typhon, Yeah, so just a badass name for a
It's
badass
a cool
dude.
ass name, yeah. He says, "How would you like to take down the sphere with me?" He's talking to Rudo, and so this is, that's like, again, this is the end of the chapter. That's a great cliffhanger to end the chapter on. It's awesome. I actually ended the volume here when I read it my first time through, and I didn't realize there was one more chapter. So this is a great end of the volume. If from my opinion, I thought this was absolutely great, but there is one more chapter. So. Chapter 49, ready, set, the sphere, take down the sphere. Again, just a cool stylized thing here.
Yeah.
Rudo sees like a vision from Mr. Typhon here. And Zodal is kind of like talking to him and trying to like, hey, like the cleaners aren't your friend. They're not going to help you. Like they're here to clean up the trash beast. They're not, you asked them to do stuff, but they're not going to help you. But he also, this is, I think, what,
do you think he said, you just caught my vision, didn't you? And there's like the sphere crashing down to Earth.
Yeah.
Do you think this is actually him incepting his vision in Rudo, or that he's like, our thoughts just aligned, didn't it?
I don't know. I have a couple of theories. I think one, it could be his vital instrument is like a mind control type thing or like a vision thing. I think it could just be the connection between Rudo's and his vital instruments, which both have the same rune on it.
True. Yeah.
I think it also could just be, I don't know what this is.
That might be why he knows so much about Rudo, or understands.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that. Was I think that maybe he knows so much about Rudo because like he knows how to take advantage of the connection between these like similar runed vital instruments. I mean, I think that also might be why they knew where Amo was in her boots, right?
Yeah.
And why they took her boots. Like, because if this guy sort of has a connection with his jacket to the other vital instruments with the same rune on it, then maybe he just like, he knows that she's there. We know that the cleaner's left. You have some connection there. So maybe it's that.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. Also, this is another great panel here. Rudo feels like, is like, oh, this guy's talking to me, but his words are like holding me captive. Like I can't, he's refuting everything I say. Everything he says is like manipulating me and making sense. So here I wrote, right? Like it's like, and he compares it to Amo, right? Where the conversation is going nowhere because Amo is scattered in how she speaks and interacts with people, but he's the opposite. He's so deeply focused on what Rudo doesn't want to talk about. And he won't drop the point. So the conversation is holding him captive in that way. And he's controlling Zodal is controlling the conversation, like by being sort of powerful in that way.
It's a cool way to show like a power gap and a power dynamic. Just through words.
It's super great. Zodal Typhon, in addition to having a great name, has really struck a chord. I think as a good like. Maybe he's not the final bad guy boss, but like as a great sort of first big bad. Like he's doing it for me.
And his motivations are interesting as well. Like, loving it so far. We also get we kind of flashed all the people who are split up and the fights that are coming for him. Again, say it again. The designs in GACHIAKUTA fucking rock. This is awesome. Like she looks so sick. And she calls Rio not that cute.
Yeah.
And I love Rio's reactions. Like already with the trash talk, huh? You are so bad.
Yeah,
she's getting a kick out of it.
It looks like her vital instrument is like a camera or a light or something. So I don't know. I think that's gonna be cool. She's also just wearing like what I don't know, like a cool design thing. What is she wearing? I don't know. It looks cool though.
I don't know what this is, but it looks awesome.
I also don't know what it is, but it also looks awesome. We get two of team. Yeah, the cowboy hat guy, I love him. He looks awesome. Like
McCree out here. Yeah,
absolutely. You're right. Also, something that I noticed, the background between the panels here has changed, and it literally just has the letters VS for verses over and over again. Like,
I did not notice that. Okay,
there's no subtlety at all, which I think is even better. Like, there's no like, oh, what's going on? It's like, nope, this is like these people are fighting each other. Verses is in the background. It's happening.
It's styling. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. We get, again, Jabber, such an absolute scary man. It's like, long time no see, Mr. Bad Attitude, and he's going to fight Zonka. So we just get a little flash of who's about to fight everyone. Again, a great end to a chapter. Absolutely. That's sort of the end of our chapter summary. We were talking a little bit before this. In the past, when we've read a volume, I've been sort of like, cool, that's the volume. We'll read more next week. Last volume, I had to read one more chapter because I wasn't going to end with such a sad leave off. this is the hardest I've ever had to convince myself not to just keep reading, because this was like, I really just want to keep reading right now.
Well, luckily we're doing this one a little later than normal, so our next volume is just going to be in like a few days. So
yeah, our next recording is coming up soon, which is good.
Yeah,
so. But I read this last Sunday, so I've been.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I read it today, so it's
yeah.
I don't have to wait too long. I'm excited too. It's going to be great.
I think it's going to be good. Yeah. So I mean, any like overall thoughts, feelings, summarize anything else you want to talk about that we didn't talk about? I have some final thoughts also, but
yeah. So the angel came back down to visit Amo after Rudo fell. Like right as Rudo fell. So he went up there for his Rudo mission, seemingly, or to steal that Necronomicon.
I think for the book, yeah.
Yeah, I am unsure if the angel has any kind of supposed like need or desire for Rudo to do anything, because ultimately he could have died from that fall, right? And they didn't do anything about it. So I think it's just the book. And I don't think the angel has anything to do with our raiders here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not fully convinced, but if I had to guess, I think the angel guy would be Rudo's dad. Maybe, right?
I think so too.
Like that, I think that would make the most sense to me, right? And I think that the reason he doesn't help Rudo is that he knows Rudo will survive the fall, because he knows either the gloves or whatever it is that helps him survive the fall. I think he just knows, right? He knows, like, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him into the trash world. He's going to be fine there, or at least he's not going to die from the fall. And then my plans can continue. If I had to guess, I think Angel Guy is Rudo's dad.
I have a lot of questions still. But obviously everyone does. But yeah, I guess those are like my last thoughts on that.
Cool.
Great chapter. I mean, great volume all in all, though.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think this is my favorite volume since the first one. Like this, they've all been good. The last one was a little bit of a downer, and the fight with Amo was not my favorite, but I still liked it. I think this, we talked the last volume we definitely said was like, this one's not quite as good as the others, but this volume I think is my favorite one. Like this is been
Me
so
too.
good.
And it was all set up. It was like mostly all set up. I think it's because of how styling it was towards the end. I think Amo's character arc like worked perfectly.
Yeah.
And also it's just a very strong villain introduction.
Yeah, and it just moves. Like you get the Amo stuff, and then you get the fight with Seimu, which I think is awesome. You get like more lore around Vital Instruments and the angel and all these other things. And
totally.
Then you immediately get the introduction of the bad guy. You get the versus setup. You get him saying he wants to destroy the sphere, which like maybe kind of aligns with what Rudo wants, which is interesting. So yeah,
it was like breakneck pacing, but it didn't feel rushed in any way.
No.
And there's like world building and connections in between. Like, yeah, it did it all.
Yeah, I mean, as pacing wise, this is like perfect. Like not everything has to be a breakneck pace, but this was so well executed that the fact that it never really lets you go. I mean, it lets you relax a little bit, but it never like lets you settle in. There's never like, 2 or 3 chapters of nothing happening. They're just getting back to camp or, talking about stuff or whatever. It's like, no, it just goes. Like something is happening in every chapter and things are moving and it's good.
I'll say I thought Team Child was very funny. I'll have to be convinced to see them as cool. Anyway.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have cool powers, right? Because it's like you look at them and you go, oh, haha, write them off. They're not powerful. And then you'll see their powers and be like, holy shit, like that's awesome or cool. Like, I think they're going to be cool.
I feel like the cowboy guy is just going to slap them around, to be honest.
I think that feels like the one fight that probably isn't going to be too much trouble, just because the new characters usually don't like introduce the new cleaners and then have them get their ass kicked and then have, some of the other cleaners help them or something. I think Zonka, Enjin, and Rio are probably more at risk, though. I don't know. We can talk about it. Do you think that do the cleaners just 5-0 them, or do they all lose, or what happens here?
I think Zodil Typhon would be a bad planner if they just get 5-0'd.
Yeah.
It would fly in the face of this meticulous seeming character. I don't think it works exactly as Zodil plans, but I think maybe every side loses their fight except for like maybe Enjin and Zonka. Something like that.
I think something tells me Zonka, they kind of beat him last time, so I don't know if that means he loses this time, but they like never got a proper one-on-one, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think Zonka wins this one because like Zonka did lose last time, but he was ambushed and poisoned, right?
Yeah.
So he's feeling bitter about that loss. who knows how the writer writes it?
I don't
because
know.
like it could be that he's so like steamed up about it that he doesn't fight well.
Also, Jabber just seems like, oh, you've knocked him out and beaten him, and he injects himself with poison that sends him berserk, and he can't feel pain, and it's so I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm excited
sure.
to see. I'm hyped up for the next volume for sure.
Me too.
Something I noted here at the end, I was thinking like the day before I read this volume, I was like, like I've done Soul Eater, I've read Fire Force. Okubo is clearly like the largest single influence on Urana here. In Fire Force is like kind of minor spoilers. The bad guy group turns out by the end to be like kind of a good group with like good goals that took a slightly wrong path. And then in the end, everyone kind of teams up against the real bad guys. And I was wondering if GACHIAKUTA is going to do this.
It seems this
also.
way. Yes.
Yeah.
It seems this way. The cowboy guy seems like a dapper gentleman. I'm so obsessed with him. And also, I think Zodal Typhon is like we know that the people on the sphere are pricks, and we know that because he shares the same like runic instrument as Rudo and Amo, that he is also a person that has been discarded by the world and has like a hole.
Yeah. If he's making full use of his power, that means he has some kind of abuse or abandonment or whatever. Yeah, I agree.
So presumably this is like, it seems like righteous vengeance from an audience perspective, but I think after Rudo and Amo's conversation about violence begetting more violence, he is taking the wrong path in that regard.
Yeah, I think that I agree. I think this definitely feels like a. I also just think something about the design and the way that Zodal Typhon is presented. He's not a mustache twirling, I'm instantly evil guy. The way someone like Jabber Jabber's introduced and you're like, this guy is fucking crazy and bad and like nothing about this guy screams that he could ever be a good guy. Zodal Typhon to me seems like, okay, like, yes, he's sort of splitting our people up, but he's not a mustache twirling evil guy. I definitely think this could be a thing where maybe by the end of next volume or 2 volumes or something, Rudo's like, you convinced me. I think you're right. I think we need to take it down. I'll help you instead of the cleaners. Like maybe Rudo switches sides or something.
It's funny you mentioned that. He seems like Zodal Typhon definitely seems like a bad guy, but he seems like this is Attack on Titan spoilers. I won't say it.
I think I know what you're saying, but yeah.
Yeah. Let's move past it.
Well, yeah. I mean, you mentioned that, and I know what you're thinking. So yeah, and I kind of agree that it's like, yeah, I can see that. So
yeah, exactly. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Sorry we didn't say it, guys. It's just I don't want to spoil it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I have 2 more notes. I said some of the names are weird, but Zodal Typhon fucking slaps. I thought the art in this volume was the best it's ever been. They couldn't go a chapter without bringing up some cool design or cool art. I think it's great. Yeah, I wrote here, I was like, if there were any doubts in my mind before volume 7 here, they are all gone now. Like, I think like GACHIAKUTA is like, it's wonderful. I'm having a hard time not reading ahead. I legit just want to sit down and catch all the way up. This is great. I mean, this like solidified as like, I knew that it was pretty good and I was very excited to read it. Like very, very good, honestly. And then we kind of had a down volume. And then this one is just like, nope, by the way, this is the best volume after a year.
Yeah,
which I think is difficult to do. So yeah,
even our down volume was good. It was just
it was.
It was just like a 7 or 8 out of 10 good instead of like the 9 out of 10 good this is, right?
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to what's next.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Cool. Anything else? Volume 7, GACHIAKUTA.
Nah, let's get out of here
cool.
And we'll meet back for the next one.
Let's go. Yep, we'll see you back for Volume 8 next week. Hey, thanks again for watching or listening. Be sure to check out Patreon if you want to support us. Maybe get some more book clubs throughout the year if you do. Check out Twitter if you want to see more thoughts and posts. If you're a weekly manga reader of stuff like Shonen Jump or Weekly Shonen Magazine, which publishes GACHIAKUTA, go check out the Weekly Manga Podcast on this channel that we do. I think that's it for the episode of this episode of the GACHIAKUTA Book Club read through. So adios.
Goodbye.
And don't forget to read more manga.